The date is November 28th, 2010. We are interviewing Bill Pearson for the Veterans History Project. Our names are Rhiannon Jordan and Rebecca Rubin, and we are currently in Davis, California. Mr. Pearson was first lieutenant. So, what was training like in the Army?
Training was terrible because of the rules and regulations. We were just herded around, and when you were an aviation cadet, you were just almost dirt under the feet of those officers. So training was a hassle. We always griped, and we were always unhappy about it. And there was also strict rules in flying when you were in the training command, which reduced our ability to do what we wanted to do while we were flying. So I didn't like the training command, and I was sorry I was kept in it. I told you I was kept as an instructor. I was a bad instructor.
How long were you training for?
How long was I in training?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the primary training, we all went first to learn to fly. I started in April of 1943. And I got my wings, and I said April of 43. I meant to say October of 1943. And we had the primary, basic, and advanced, and I got my wings in April of 44. But then I was in the training command while I instructed, and while I was at Craig Field waiting to go somewhere and do something. And I was in the training command when I was in the 1st Air Force on the East Coast. So I didn't get out of the training command until I got to Hawaii.
What was your initial reaction when you realized you were taking part in the war? How did you feel about it?
That's a very difficult question because it didn't happen all of a sudden. The build up to that war was such a long thing, and we saw it coming so much earlier that we didn't think past war. We just knew it was in our future, and everybody went. So there wasn't any. Pearl Harbor night, for instance, we knew what that was, and we knew it was a signal event, and our lives were changed. But that was all.
Okay. What were some of the most influential aspects of the war for you?
For me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I grew a couple of years older, and I was on my own, independent, and I don't know if there's anything significant. Everybody went to that war, was glad they hated it at the time, but glad they did it. The war taught me a great deal about my fellow man. I mean, it taught me democracy. It was a very democratic service. We had people from all walks of life, and you learned that all people have their own gifts and qualities and to be respected.
So you made a lot of friends in the war? Or no?
I don't keep up with a single person I was in the service with.
Is there a reason for that?
But it was very friendly at the time.
Mm.
I was in the aviation cadets for all those months and all those years, and nobody I was with ever had a fight with anybody else.
Mm.
Which or even a serious argument, which wasn't true in college or the Boy Scouts or summer camps and things like that. We got along well together.
Okay.
Did you ever have any problems with your group mates or bunk mates?
Any problems?
Yeah.
You mean like forced landings or anything like that? No, I had none. No airplane ever quit on me. I saw it happen to other people, but I had no close calls.
Could you go into detail about an instance in which something did happen to someone who was in a plane?
A friend?
Oh yeah, someone that you saw, or?
Oh well, when I got to, I had an automobile when I got my wings, and so I had 2 or 3 guys I carried with me from one base to the other. And when we got to Washington, D.C. to fly in the P-47 for the first time, one of those four, in his first flight, or second flight, very unexpectedly, from over 25,000 feet, the plane just dove into the ground. And he was killed. Oh, nobody has ever explained why. What happened in that case? Is that the sort of thing you're asking me?
Yeah.
I had three people I knew in the service who flew the B-24 in the mountains sometime and were killed. Three separate accident people I served with. And my instructor had advanced training. Also flew the plane he was teaching me how to fly, and later after I left him, he flew it into a mountain and was killed. So, I don't know, those are the most signal things I can think of, my friends who lost their lives.
Okay.
Were there any difficulties that you faced in the war?
No, I want to say this. I had over 24 friends who were killed in the war. Not necessarily in the Air Force. But, no, I don't know what kind of difficulties you talk about. Well, I told you we complained about the training command the whole time.
Yeah.
But that was all. We just had something to endure.
So what made you want to sign up for the war in the first place?
Well, like I said, we knew the war was coming. So I wanted to choose my own service. I was in college and I took something called a civilian pilot training program and got my private pilot's license before I went into the service. And when I signed up and was accepted for that, you didn't have to promise to go into the Air Corps, but it was more or less expected of you. And I knew that if I was going to war, and everybody was, that this was after Pearl Harbor, I'd rather be a pilot. And so I chose that service.